Want to know how you can help transition from fossil fuels to clean energy? The Global Subsidies Initiative works with governments and partners to help remove fossil fuel subsidies that work against sustainable development. What are subsidies? Governments use subsidies as one of their tools to influence the economy. Subsidies include direct payments, tax breaks, supportive infrastructure, or cheap inputs to industries that policymakers wish to promote in the hope that they will boost jobs and economic activity. Why are fossil fuel subsidies an issue? Modern economies are built on energy, so many governments have chosen to provide subsidies to the energy sector. In the 20th century, most energy came from fossil fuels, so most subsidies were eventually captured by the fossil fuel industry. In 2015, subsidies to fossil fuels cost governments around $425 billion. In addition to being expensive, fossil fuel subsidies act against their initial objective. They increase climate-changing greenhouse gas emissions, and in most cases, they do not benefit those that really need it. These subsidies have created two problems. We now have an energy system addicted to fossil fuels, and our governments fear that without subsidies to fossil fuels, energy will be expensive and unreliable. The solution? The subsidy swap. What's a subsidy swap? Subsidy swaps aim to reform subsidies to fossil fuels and use the savings to fund the transition to clean energy, supporting investment in energy systems like renewables, energy efficiency, and public transportation. The objective of subsidy swaps is to get cheaper and cleaner energy and better social and economic conditions for all. Imagine what $425 billion of additional public budget could achieve. How do they work? In India, kerosene subsidies keep the cost of lighting with kerosene low. In 2017-18, they cost the government $1.3 billion. In addition, lighting with kerosene has negative health impacts for users and can start fires in houses. Solar lights are a much better alternative, but they have struggled to compete with artificially cheap kerosene. India could swap subsidies to kerosene by financially supporting home solar systems for families, promoting healthier families and safer lighting, saving money over time. If subsidies to kerosene were removed, lighting with a basic solar lamp would be more than 4 times cheaper than with kerosene. In Zambia, a country where only 1 out of 3 people has access to electricity, power supply shortages led the utility to quickly add capacity using diesel generators. These diesel generators are costly to run and very polluting. In 2016, the Zambian government spent $660 million in fuel subsidies and emergency power imports. Phasing out these subsidies and investing in renewable energy solutions will result in much cleaner and cheaper energy over time, saving money while also increasing the number of people with access to electricity. How can we help? Governments should consider the transition to clean energy through fossil fuel subsidy reform. The Global Subsidies Initiative can make the transition successful by supporting governments in identifying energy swaps and by offering support to governments through the transition. Visit iisd.org/GSI to start or for case studies and more info.